Hello, I'm Donna Collins, Executive Director of the Ohio Arts Council. Welcome to the OAC's Arts Beacon of Light, Finding Hope in the New Normal. This project was inspired by OAC board member Tina Husted. Through the Ohio Arts Beacon, we aim to give our artists a place to share, connect, and cope with challenges presented by COVID-19 and anything in the world that's part of their day. We hope to inspire you while giving artists a platform for connection, expression, and encouragement. So today, I'm joined by poet, producer, activist, educator, and entrepreneur, Sierra Leone. Welcome, Sierra.
Hello, hi, how are you? I'm glad to be here.
Oh, Sierra, we're glad that you're with us today too. Thank you, and I'm doing well. Let me give our audience an overview of your bio. A Governor's Award winner and writer, Sierra is the president and artistic director of OFP Theater and Production Company. For more than a decade, Ohio has benefited from Sierra's vision of creative urban arts as a powerful artistic medium to bring communities together across racial, cultural, and economic divides. Sierra's work with youth, arts organizations, schools, and community organizations has been ongoing through her company's educational arm, Signature Educational Solutions. In the spring of 2019, Sierra graduated with her second master's degree, an MBA from Wright State University. Sierra's continuing girls and women's empowerment work through I Am Moon Power has inspired her to complete the Inner Visions Institute's spiritual school with 2-year personal development program in the spring of 2019. I'm not sure when she has time to do anything else. Sierra, we're thrilled that you were selected to be a featured teaching artist in Ohio's Teaching Artist roster, a partnership of the Ohio Arts Council, Ohio Alliance for Arts Education, Ohio Dance, Art Possible Ohio, and the Center for Arts Inspired Learning. For anyone who's listening not familiar with our online teaching artist roster, you can find it at the OAC's website. Sierra, one of the questions on our minds is about the state of the world and how it's impacting artists. Would you talk to us about how you as an artist continue to create, perform, and really just stay engaged when we have limited access to in-person audiences due to the pandemic?
Yes, I think for me, deciding to do that work is a very courageous act, to stay engaged, to stay connected, to stay in alignment with yourself and everything that's happening in the world. We have been through a lot, I think, as a society and as a community here in Dayton, Ohio. And so for me, that process is day to day, having different mediums to utilize, creating possibly with my children, with myself, journaling, writing, photography. It all supports me each and every day in deciding how I want to show up that day. It may be some days where the weather can be supportive to the process to me. But personally, I think it's a day-to-day experience for all of us. It is moment by moment. Sometimes we become too engaged with social media and you'll look up and 4 hours have gone by and you're really not sure what you've done with your day. And so, but in these times, I think I work very hard to be in community with artists, calling, staying connected. I take the time to first be engaged with myself on a day-to-day basis. And beyond engaging with myself, I then connect with my family, my extended family, and community. And I think that's what's required. We may not be able to turn to books for everything here. You may need some human interaction to get this one done. I often bury myself in books or in studying and finding another way to get answers and to get a connection to what it is I'm trying to, or the message I'm trying to deliver. But these days with the state of the world, I think it's very important to know who you are and whose you are.
Sierra, I love the way you deliver that message, because I think all of us need to hear that it's okay to focus on ourselves. It's okay to go inward for a bit so that we're stronger to be out in the world, whether that's a note, a phone call, an email, a text message, and eventually it will be arm in arm and together in a room when life allows that.
Yes, you can, we all can do you can do your part, whatever that part is. Your part may be on the front line. Your part may be holding the space and praying. You may be the person that needs to do the letter writing and hold campaigns in that way. You may be an advocate in the medical field that is putting all your forces and energy toward coming up with innovative ways to help discover what it's going to look like to get a vaccine in place. There are so many things that you can do. You can speak out and speak up in regards to how people are being impacted by COVID, the inequality, the lack of support, or those who are just not listening, or just saying simply, you know, wash your hands, wear your mask, be considerate of other people, you know, and then also just calling, I think, and checking in on those who may not be as mobile. Or just seeing what people need. I mean, really, humanity is in balance at this point, and it's in the balance, and it's going to take all of us to see it and do it differently. And for us personally here, we're excited because we reached out to artists across the state and decided to create a piece called No Artist Left Behind. And so just being connected, telling artists about the 1099, unemployment for artists, supporting artists with resources that are here and available. I'm just thankful for the council and everything Ohio Arts Council is putting out and doing. So it's been absolutely wonderful to support one another in community, but it also has been very tough.
Thank you, Sierra. It's really a great lead in to my next question for you. I'd love to know more about your worldview. We've known each other for a few years now, and I know you spend time each day reading, praying, and journaling. If you could tell us how these activities lead you to find a peace of mind and joy, even in very difficult times, I think we can learn from that, and we'd sure appreciate it.
Yes, I think mental health right now is so important. For me, I view the world as a descendant of slaves from a female perspective and a mother of Black children. And that is my scope and my view. And that lens, sometimes the gaze of that can be tough some days. But my mental health as I move about through these experiences is very important, because if we're doing the work and we cannot access our consciousness and we're constantly in a fight or flight or fear or freeze mode or fold, you're unable to really access all of your skills, all of the resources, everything that's available within you. And so for me, the work really is around my mental health and the things that I do daily. I think journaling is very important for each of us because, you know, to not take it lightheartedly, but I recall being upset about talking to a friend about wanting to release weight. And she said, "You've had that conversation with me at least 10 times. And I was telling her, this is a new conversation. But when I went back and looked at my journal, I had been talking about it since 2002. So for me, it was the thing I love about journaling is that you're held accountable by yourself. You know, you are held accountable. And so when you go back and look at your journal entries, no one has to say to you, "I told you so," or "You've been working on that for a while." You're reading it in your own handwriting. And so for me, that is healing because I wrote this affirmation or this goal or this desire or this intention of what I wanted to do and want it to happen. And then when it doesn't, or someone brings to my attention, "You've been talking about that for some time. Are you going to do something with that idea?" Now I'm able to really go back. I think I have about 42 journals from over the years. I've been journaling since the 3rd grade, when my mother purchased my first journal with a lucky charm on the front of it. And it was green and it was everything to me. And so journaling has been a way that I've expressed myself forever. I think for me as well, creating. I was so stressed out and so traumatized as everyone else was with the release of so many gigs and opportunities to connect with youth and support my community, because that's what my work has been entrenched in. And so that was very traumatizing in that moment. And so I found myself just wanting to connect with my own ancestors and my roots. And so I began to cook. And I began to just spend time in my yard. I began to just creatively look at what was around me. It was at the time when my magnolia tree was blooming. So it was quite beautiful and magical. And so I was able to make food art or just spend time with myself in that way and connect with some of my old writings as well. I looked back at my work from maybe 15 years ago and asked myself, what was I writing about? What was I doing? And what was important to me at that time? And so I spent, and I'm spending that time doing that work now. And I'm excited also about my first poetry book. And I'm working with my editor, Gwendolyn Mitchell, now on the final edit. And I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that.
Sierra, you are aware there are only 24 hours in a day and you do require some rest.
Well, I think you're right. And this is why I get to parent and do conscious parenting with my partner, Robert, and my husband. And so it's always wonderful to have a partner. And for parents, don't be upset or don't feel bad when you have to tell your children or relatives, I need a moment. It is very difficult to create anything if you cannot think. If, you're dealing with your children, or not dealing because you do love them, but working with your children, and doing those sorts of things. It's just very important to claim your sacred space and to set some boundaries so you can connect and hear what's happening in your mind and what it is that you want to bring forth. You cannot share any art that's within if you cannot complete your thoughts. If you do not know what you're believing in that moment, you cannot allow those things to come forth into your experience, whether you're upset or happy, or you just want to share about something you've witnessed in a particular way. You need that creative space to do it, and you may have to demand it sometimes.
I like that a lot. In preparing for our conversation today, I asked if you would be so kind to lead us through an exercise, one that can bring a calmness to the chaos we sometimes see and feel. And you were so kind to say yes. So if you will.
Yes, I think when we're talking about this particular activity, it's very important to also share that it's one of those things that can be done with you can do it with music. You can use music to write and create. You can also do a brain dump. These are just very simple things you can do along the way as well. You can do aromatherapy and look at smell different things to support you. You can drink a glass of water, just as Donna was doing, to recenter yourself. Sometimes you just need to do that. You can put on a specific piece of clothing or jewelry to support you in finding your center. Also do a physical activity. It may be exercise, yard work, or housework, but that could be supportive. And you may want to do something that we hear so much about, which is meditating or mindfulness. And I think, and in that notion, whether you're meditating or being mindful, it's this idea of being still so you can find your inner knowing. For me, today's exercise is centered in emotional wellness. And if you're focused on your emotional wellness, what you want to do is to center yourself in that right now moment. It may be uncomfortable for you. You may not want to be still. You may be called to act, but all you need to do is to center yourself so you can identify exactly what it is you're feeling, exactly what it is that you're experiencing in that moment. And once you take that moment to identify, you become aware. And when you have that awareness, you'll say to yourself, what's going on with me? And you can take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you do that, you position yourself to become aware of those emotions. And in that awareness is acknowledgement. And you can, within you, acknowledge, I'm angry, I feel joy, I feel happy, I'm at peace. And when you're centering yourself and acknowledging that, you can then accept. I don't mean accept in a way where you have to take that, but accept this is how I feel. I've identified it. I can acknowledge it. And with that, I can respect those feelings within me and I can respect others. And once you take that step, you're centered, you've acknowledged, you're now accepting, and from there you can release it. Because once you release it, and in that release for you, you will be able to either write it out. That's why we brought up journaling. You may be able to do something to physically get it out of your body. While you're doing that, an exercise, like we said, you may want to write it out. It all depends on you. But from that space, you'll take another deep breath because you're releasing. That is a very simple way to do it. Children do it all the time when they're huffing and puffing with their parents. And you should say to them, perfect. That's right where I want you to be. Present, centered, and in this right now moment. And once you do that, you have the freedom to create whatever it is you desire. You have clarity and you can act with purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. And I think we're done now. I feel good. I feel centered. But I'm pretty sure the audience wants to know a little more. Maybe we should do this at the beginning of every day, everybody. Think about what Sierra just shared with us about the breathing in and the exhaling and getting centered. I love that. And you know, I've read that before. I've been taught that before, Sierra. But hearing you say it again is really powerful. Thank you.
Yes.
So we're going to keep going. Let's talk about performance. You are quite the performer. I have seen you live take on a whole show for Dayton with dance and poetry and music. Just beautiful. And you've also been a TEDx presenter and a spoken word poet. So at our social networking seems to fill up our feed with opportunities, we are also seeing more and more virtual performances by professional artists. What can we do as audience members to support the artists who we can only see virtually right now?
I think that is a very important question. I know so often we have all looked at social outlets as a place we visit, sort of how we treat radio sometimes. We may listen to the radio, we don't buy any radio, we don't, we turn it on and it's there. And I think for so many of us, that is what social outlets are. They're a place to escape to for a few moments. And I think for artists now, it is us as human beings and artists really realizing the seriousness of where we are making art at and really beginning to respect this as a platform and knowing that you're respecting it as a platform out of safety for others and understanding that there's nothing in the world that could ever compare to doing something live. Nothing can compare to that. That's why it's lasted over the years. It's something that never fades, no matter what medium, television, movies. It doesn't. Live performance is something you can't compete with. But also some of this technology is something we can't compete with in the way it's working or not working. And so I think it is very important for us to realize that it's real. And that when artists are sharing, it doesn't cost anything to share. It doesn't cost anything to say a kind word or leave a comment, or even take a moment to say, I don't have an interest in that particular art, but I know someone who does, and they may be able to support you. I think what's very powerful right now is the ability to attend a show in New York, or a show as far as poetry and writing, or attend a show on the West Coast or down South, and you're not there. So you have artists doing things and doing work in places where we would have had to just see the pictures or a video clip. We're actually witnessing and watching one another go through a paradigm shift and create our way out of it. And that's something that should be supported, whether the artist has merchandise, whether you can contribute to a cause that they're supporting. A lot of artists now are speaking out about inequality and social justice. You can give to those movements if you choose. And you can just flat out say, I have the resources to support artists in making art right now. That's something we really, really need as we're trying to manage, because artists, we do pay bills. I know it doesn't always look like it, but we do sometimes call and pay bills and tend to our families. You may even catch us at the grocery store because we do eat. And so, you just never know where you're going to see an artist. But nonetheless, what you need to know is that we require your support now, not when the theater is back open, not when you can attend our events. You can go on and purchase their books. You can go on and purchase items that they may have for sale. For me, there's several things that I have available for people to purchase and to connect with through my art and the art that I'm making. But I think it's very important to respect it as a true platform at this moment and to give to it anytime that you can, because it is the very thing that keeps us all human and sane most days.
Thank you, Sierra, for that. I've had several friends and colleagues say, I will never complain about the cost of a ticket to the concert, to the theater, to the event again, because they miss it so much. And these were events that were very affordable, and people would whine a little, and now they're saying, I take it all back. So the role of the artist has become even more clear to many folks these days, and in these times when we've been separated, and as things begin to open up, I think we're going to see a new mindset about the artist and the role of the artist, the professional artist who's making a living by sharing their talents with us.
Yes, and the sacrifices that they make to do so, because to go in and make art is a true process, and one where you understand that you will continue to evolve. You must continue to become to make art, and that's whatever type of art you're making. And that is a big thing for us as urban creative artists, is speaking to the issues of the times, and that's so important for us. I think for me recently, I'm so excited about the piece done by the Levitt Pavilion that I was commissioned to write, called Healing on 5th and Main, where they made it a mural. And that is going up now, and it is absolutely beautiful. A place where people can experience a poem that I've written while they're enjoying live music for free in the park when they have that opportunity again. So I think you're right. And community as a whole, Ohio, give, support, acknowledge, appreciate. We are one.
That's right. Sierra, can I put you on the spot? Would you like to read a poem for us?
You can put me on the spot, because that's what we do as artists. I would like to share a poem, I think, in honor of the work that's happening right now on many levels in the world, and the injustices that are being processed through. I would like to share a poem. And this poem is entitled A Seat at the Table. It is a piece for those who may have been impacted by the world in various ways. But one way we can take that power back as a community and as one is by voting. And so I don't know if that's an appropriate subject for this moment. And for this call. I know we're focused on healing and wellness, but I would like to share this particular poem a seat at the table. On the brink of social gentrification, our human algorithm reincarnated the invisible hand of humanity, the backbending beast of multi-directional disorder can no longer be hidden in policy. Generation Now, bullhorned social justice bravery, stood on the cornerstone of determination to become the nation's modern day face of accountability. Disenfranchisement is no longer my ethnicity. Equality has become my race. The moral fabric of impregnated tomorrows have woven more than cotton gin change. We surely did not ask for a heritage of sugarcane slavery, callous feet, and societal mentality driven by plantation economics. Operation Occupy bullet-cased isms, calibrated lead pointed directly at police brutality and demands for raising minimum wage. Social action is more than a right. It must be a part of your daily life. We're talking blood on the leaves, the root, and the pavement too. Voice to change is how we take a seat at the table. So much has been misplaced along the way. Awareness and intellect are two very different things. Whether you're sitting on the heels of capitalism or mesmerized by middle-class living or resting in festering impoverished valleys of urban reality, shared lived experiences have become the catalyst for affordable education. My grandparents and community griots would often say, power will never be given, it must be taken. How do we see beyond the burden of messy politics and denied participation in the American dream? The polling station, rock the boat, rock the vote. Complaining without engagement is like vocalized suffocation. I can't breathe. Ingenuity has always been our ancestors' leverage. Poll tax paying, literacy tests taken, property ownership proven, non-citizenship existence, immigrant migration. We know this place. Governance by lack of support turned buried corpses into breaking their silence. Revolt, revolution, rebellion turned overdosing on food deserts, health crisis, prison population, astronomical infant mortality, and opioid death rates. Articulated suffering is not solving a bottomless problem. We are the call to action. Involvement, hand in hand. Renegotiate local governing agreements. History is our footstool. Stand on it, advocate, baptize innovative voices to mediate more than the delivery of services. A seat at the table is my preference. We don't want to lose sight of what we come for. We need vision. Remember those who have come before you. I'm asking you to vote. Thank you.
Those are very powerful words. We appreciate the heart, the soul, the intellect that went into putting pen to paper and sharing the words that are on your heart and that are out in the world. Thank you for that very much.
You are so welcome. And I thank you for creating a space for them to be shared. I mean, art is not always beautiful. And I know Nina Simone said, you know, it is the job of the artist to speak to the issues of their times, whatever those issues are. And so for me, it was an honor. That was a commissioned poem for a local organization here who is doing work in the community over on the west side of Dayton. And so for me, that was a beautiful commission to write and share that space for them as they rally people to vote for what matters to them. So it's not work that I think I always do, but it's work that I enjoy doing and I was thankful to be called upon to do.
And what a wonderful way for us to wrap up this conversation, Sierra. Thank you so much for being with us today. And you are a beacon of light, and together we're finding hope in the new normal. Your words will resonate with all of us as we go on about our days, and I'm sure that folks will hit rewind and hear those words again and again.
Yes, and I thank you so much to the Ohio Arts Council for an amazing opportunity. I spend so much time here looking at this clementine and this pansy to know that I'm a free thinker and we have so many opportunities for new beginnings. We have an opportunity now to continue our work as we're, operating in the stay-at-home piece here. I'm just grateful to the council and I'm grateful for your support, Donna.
Thank you, Sierra. To our audience, if you want to know more about Sierra, you can find her on our website in the Teaching Artists directory, and there'll be more information on your screen about how to find Sierra directly. And for more inspiration and stories from our Arts Beacon of Light, Finding Hope in the New Normal, we welcome you to visit the Ohio Arts Council at oac.ohio.gov/Ohio Arts Beacon. You can also follow the Arts Beacon at Ohio Arts Beacon on Instagram. We hope you will submit your stories and share the light in your world with all of us. Until next time, let's all find hope in the new normal. And remember, the arts in Ohio are better when we work together.